Right, so what we've done here is instead of just giving one score all the way down here, what we've done is I've given a specific score for each square leg section as far as that goes.
Yes.
And what I'm going to do is feed back to you with regard to each actual section and where they've come from. Now, that's not necessarily the way people do that, because quite often when they're judging, they'll judge and say, okay, if you get a 5 and you're on this one here, they won't then give you as much as a 6.3 overall. Okay?
Yes.
But this was a better way to make sure you realise exactly
Yes.
how that score's being achieved.
Yes.
Albeit-
Where I can be better.
Yeah.
So,
So we're going to start off with, coming in to start off with, right, so nice trot in time with the horse at the horse's shoulder to the centre. The horse wasn't quite standing on all 4 legs. I mean,
No.
it was standing on all 4 legs, yes, but not
No.
square.
yes.
If I'm speaking too fast, just to say,
Yes,
John,
no,
John,
no.
slow down, okay?
Yes.
So that's where this one came from. Again, linking into when they were actually doing the salute, we were coming from 8.5 to a little bit off you again, just because the horse wasn't as square as I would like to see it standing for that specific part. And the last part here, you're getting a lower score, 7.8 for your trot round. You put the horse out in the circle, and he did trot round. I would like to see him more of an active trot,
Yes.
okay, or a
More
working,
free.
yeah, more
Yes.
free, exactly,
Yes.
and also right out to the outside of the circle.
Yes.
So
Yes, longer in the circle.
yeah, so
yes.
they're using the whole lot.
Yes.
Now, again, I'm being quite picky.
No,
Okay, so
that's all right.
that one also would have been higher had the horse been further out and just a little bit more active. It certainly would
Yes.
have been 9 something.
That's something we work with. He's afraid of the whip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yes,
it's
it's good to know.
good. So after that one now, we're coming up to the top here.
Yes.
We'll start off with the regularity of strides now. So on this one here, I have to work with what we have here. So
Yes.
for him to get 8 or above, you have
Yes.
to have regular strides and clear 3-beat canter from the beginning to the end with a clear moment of suspension.
Yes.
Right. So because he didn't do that,
Yes.
because sometimes he dropped back on you a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Okay. We have to then drop that one back down and. Regular strides and 3-beat canter, clear moment of suspension, but some loss of consistent rhythm. Yeah, it was more than some loss, so it has to come down again.
Yes.
So that's why I've gone as far down as this one. To my mind, it was regular strokes, 3-beat canter, but the moment suspension could be more clearly defined, losing some of the rhythm during canter.
Yes.
Right, so he's a new horse, obviously.
No, no.
He's not that new.
No, he had been difficult to make
Right, okay.
because I'm new
Right.
and
Right. We'll talk about that more in a moment with regard to what else could help him.
Yes.
So, matter of fact, I'll just go straight on to that one. So, if we then go down to this one here,
yes,
he is quite far back
Yes.
in the head. Is there a reason for that?
his canter is better
When
when
it's
he's
there.
go
Okay.
down there.
Right.
The walters is more happy.
Yeah. So, if we, he's not, I wouldn't say he's heavy on the bit, but he's definitely behind the vertical.
Yeah.
And it's not really most of the time, he's behind the vertical all of the time.
Yes.
So technically speaking, I can't give you a score much higher than 5 for that part.
Yes.
So what you need to try and do is make his canter better, but not have him as far behind the vertical as he is.
No. Yes.
So they're changing these for next year, so they're putting other words in here to say he can be slightly behind the vertical.
Yeah.
So if he's just slightly behind, then that'll pick up this score, and you might, I mean, hopefully it'll also help pick up that one as well.
Yes.
The one in the middle, as far as his suppleness is concerned, generally speaking, he was fairly supple, but I couldn't say that he was. You'd say it was good elasticity throughout the whole of his body and entire movement, right? So it can't be an 8, so it has to be down here, fairly good, but a little tense,
Yeah.
right? So that's where
Yes.
I've got my 7.2 from that one.
That's true.
So realistically, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to, from the scoring sheet that we have to go with,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to pick on where we need to be for the
Yes.
horse score. Now, as I said, the way we were told to mark this was actually if you have something down here,
Yes.
then you can't go way up to here with your score. Now, if you actually average them out the way we've done here, I've just added all these together and divided them by 3.
Yes.
It gives you pretty much the kind of score you'll be getting. Some judges might give him slightly less than that because he is so far behind the
Yes.
vertical.
Yes.
Okay. Now, actually, if you're being fair to the horse, you know, this is the main part of these 3 points. Is the regularity of the strides is the main thing you want to be working on. So I think I'm quite happy with that part there, even though he is down to 5.3 for this one.
Yes.
Right, this one, all these are all linked, as we know, as far as horses are concerned.
When we started with him, he only get 4.
Right, oh well.
So he's very good there.
Yeah, good. No, he did a good job, actually.
Yes.
He did do a good
He,
did
he
okay,
had
good
get
job.
6 all this season.
Right. If we're on to this one, these are all linked together, but we're looking at impulsion and we're also looking at collection.
Yes.
Right, so if we take the collection part, and again look at the specific sheet I'm supposed to work from, collection. To get a 7, it has to have natural balance and cadence, could still be more developed. Uphill tendency could be improved. Or hind legs should jump with more engagement and should carry more weight. The natural balance is limited and needs to show more uphill tendency.
Yes.
Now he's closer to this one than to this one. Okay, so he's sort of in between, that's why I've given him 6.6 there.
Yes.
So by giving him, pushing him on more, which will give him more impulsion, which will help this score, will also help this score, which technically speaking will help that score.
Yes.
But it will not make it easy for the vaulters to vault on him.
No.
Right, so as always, we as lungers have to work out how far forward do we want the horse to go to get the good score. But if we get too good a score, the vaulters can't vault on the horse because he's got too much energy and too much action.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's sometimes a balance. So sometimes I, like you, let the horse come back a little bit so that the vaulters can do as good a job as they can,
Yes.
and I then take the hit on the actual horse score.
Yes.
So you could, I'm quite sure, push him on more. We give him more impulsion, more energy from behind as far as I'm concerned, and would also help the score here.
Yes.
But it's a balance to try and do
Yes.
that and also make sure the vaulters can vault on him.
Yes.
Generally speaking, okay, I think if that's how the horse usually goes for them, and
Yes.
only you will know that,
Yes.
then when you're in training, I would always try and then to make them go more forward going, just little bits all the time during training. So they get used to them
Going faster.
going
Yeah.
faster.
And maybe more round.
And then in that way, when they come to a competition, they'll be quite happy when he is going a bit more forward. And then you get better horse courses yet again.
Yes.
If we come on to item 3, item 3 is really purely to do with submission, so it's straightforward. Kind of average scores all the way around there. So if, as far as this one's concerned, submissiveness, right, I'm trying to say, was it without resistance? Did the horse go round in a circle without resistance? And he didn't. Okay, so there was some resistance. There wasn't a lot, but there's some.
Yes.
So therefore, this has to be 6 something. It's not as far down here. Okay, it's not resistance and tongue problems, it's just some resistance. So
Yes.
that's where this one comes from.
Yes.
Right, so again, if he was more freer and more supple and more
Yes.
energy going forward, you'll find that the score also goes up.
Yes.
Right, regularity, right. Now again, this score and this score tend to be linked a little bit because obviously, right, if he is starting to drop back with different exercises, then that's classed as a submission fault. So actually, he's going to get a lower score here, but it's also classed as a submission fault as well.
Yes.
Now, okay, he didn't do any trot steps. It's not a trot issue, or anything like that. It's not a.
It's a speed.
It's just a speed
Yeah.
part. So, again, if we're looking at what we've got here, not always regular canter. Now, it says horse reacts in exercise. I wouldn't have said he was specifically reacting on the exercise, but he wasn't a regular canter throughout the entire test.
Yes.
Right, so that's why it has to come down from the 7 onto a 6 something.
Yes.
And then the last one here, 6, 7, this one really is up to you because it depends where you put him on the circle.
Yeah, you want him further out.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you can get him further out, then that's...
He can go further out. That's my. I don't want to let him out.
Yeah, you like to
I
get him
work.
closer in.
I work with it every day, and it's getting better, but not.
My
enough.
problem at home is that my arena is a small arena, so I put my horse out as far as I can put him out, but it's not a very wide arena, so they get used to being in a slightly smaller circle. So I have to work hard when I go to a competition to make sure they do go out,
Yes.
because they're used to going in a slightly smaller circle at
Yes.
home. If I put them right out at home, then the vaulters wouldn't have any space to get on,
Yes.
get on and off.
At home we make a circle, so I shall out to the circle.
Right.
Try.
So in here, for instance, I would be expecting them to be about a metre off of this wall
Yes.
and a metre off of that wall, in which case he would then be in a 60-metre circle, which case that score wouldn't be 6.7, it's
Yeah.
going to be 8 something.
Okay.
Okay. So it's quite an easy, if you can make your horse do what
Yes.
you want to, it's quite an easy way, again, to pick up points.
He can.
The lunging part, so we're looking at specifically at yourself as far as that's concerned. Use of whip, sometimes the whip isn't quite at the right angle. You know, if you're looking at the...
Yeah, over here.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Sometimes it should maybe a little bit too up instead of almost at that angle of 45
Yes.
degrees.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you use it, you do little flicks.
Yes.
You know, instead of using it,
Yes.
you do little flicks. Now,
Yes. I'm too nice. You mean? I do.
yeah, you just do a little bit like this. Okay. So, are you using it to make the horse go forward, or are you using it to give yourself?
The last thing, I think.
So try, and I'm guilty of that as well, try to make sure when you're using the whip, you're using it as a specific aid.
Yes.
So you're using it when you want him to go forward, and you're not using it, sometimes you're using it when I felt you didn't need to use it. You're not doing any harm to the horse, okay, but you're losing some points.
Yes.
The next one here, if we're on the lunging, right, so sometimes this is a combination of it not being as far out in the circle and also some slight slackness in the lunge line from time to time.
Yes.
Right, so that's why we've lost a little bit on that one. And then the last one is what you're doing in the circle with regard to your own posture and whether you're walking. Right, so as far as that was concerned, no problems with that. I put 9, okay, it could have been 9.5 for that matter, because when you were in the circle, you stayed in the circle, you weren't walking around the circle as far as it goes, you have reasonably good posture, light contact, so nothing wrong with that one. And we've already dealt with the last one. So realistically, some things you could sort very, very easily as far as distance out. You could certainly improve this score.
So it is, I thought you know something here.
You could certainly, you'll get these sheets back later on tonight once we've done the feedback from the video. You could certainly improve this score, and this score by
Yes.
having them a little bit further forward going. Okay, and that would also help this score here.
Yes.
So because albeit there are separate scores, they are actually all interlinked.
Yes.
Right, so if you could have them a little bit more forward going, it'll improve his impulsion, you'll then get a better score from energy behind.
Yes.
It should mean he stays in a more regular canter.
Yeah.
Now, his outline for straightness and his suppleness, obviously that's something we just need to work on depending on what the horse, if there's any specific things we can correct as far as the horse is concerned. But in the main, he was fairly straight. Only times, I think I actually put 2 marks for straightness. Yeah, so I had him up to 7.8 at the start for his straightness.
Yes.
And then I dropped him down to 7 later on because he started to twist his head to the inside.
Yes.
Right, so you know, if I'm looking at this, okay, I've given you an average score of 7.4, but he was more straight, I felt, at the start of the session than he
Yes.
was just getting towards the end. He was sometimes turning his head in a little bit. Right, your turn. Questions. What questions do you have for me?
Yes. I don't know, but because I think you explained it very well, and I'm also very realistic of my part in this. So the horse, I have a very difficult to get him to be in a clean canter or regular canter. He's an old jumping horse.
But that doesn't mean to say you shouldn't have a regular. How many times do you lunge him without any vaulters?
No, one.
Right, because that can be another thing that you can do. I mean, most of the time when we lunge horses with vaulters.
Yes.
But when you think about it, we need to, and then we're so busy concentrating on the vaulters, because usually you're lunging and coaching at the same time.
Yes.
You're not necessarily concentrating on the horse. So perhaps you need to do a few sessions with him where you just have him out by himself,
Yes.
and not necessarily any vaulters to start off with, and just get him going in the outline and the canter that you
Yes.
want.
This could be the next step. We have worked on his mind.
Yes.
He's very nervous and tense. So he's been fine. We have.
You can see sometimes his ears were back a little bit as well. Yeah.
So I'll try that to launch him without Walters. That could easily.
Well, I mean, it'll help you get him in the shape that you want to get him in from a lunging point of view.
Yes.
And help him get him as far forward, and it then gives you more time to concentrate on the actual horse.
Yes.
Because so many times we all concentrate specifically on, we put the horse out there and then the vaulters come in and we're that busy looking at the vaulters, we then let the horse drop back a little bit, and because the vaulters are doing a good job, we don't realise that we're really not doing ourselves any favours for the horse. Then the horse, I've got one grey horse, and he knows the lunges that he can drop back with. I mean, if you put a different lunger with him, one lunger, he'll go round perfectly. Well, not perfectly, okay, not a 10, but he'll go round well.
Yes.
And if you put a different lunger in with him, because he knows that lunger won't put him forward, he just drops right back.
Okay.
And so you could have a score here
Yes.
that could be almost 6-8. Okay,
Yes.
he's not got the best canter anyway, so it could almost be 6-8, or it could be 4-5.
Yes.
And it's purely because he knows who's lunging him. So sometimes we need to spend a bit of time just with the horses and putting them out in the lunge, get them to go to the where we want to go,
Yes.
so that then they get used to it. And equally, compulsories. You know, when you look at the horse going, there will be various compulsories which you'll be aware of that the horse will drop back on,
Yes.
such as which ones?
Stand.
Yeah. So it's the same for everyone.
Yes.
So you have to then make sure then that you put something in place so he doesn't do that.
Yes.
So the horse feels him going up to bench and feels him going up to stand. Okay, then he starts to drop back.
Yes.
So at some point in time, you're going to have to get the vaulter to go from bench, go to stand, not stand up, still hold the handles,
Yes.
and make sure you push him on.
Yes.
Because he thinks, well, you're not going to push me on when that vaulter's in stand.
Yes.
But if they're on
Yes,
there, they're
that he
still,
knows.
so if they're standing on his
Because I
back but
don't.
they're still holding the handles, and
Yes.
we've told them that's what's going to happen,
Yes.
then he's not going to know that. And then he thinks, oh, right, I can't get away with that. I need to keep the pace up.
Yes.
So little things like that you can do just to make sure you get him a steady pace all throughout, and
Yes.
he keeps nice and even. Nice horse though.
Yes. Thank you. That's
Good.
very useful.
Good, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much indeed.